This is Brian Robertson, and today's date is September the 9th, 2008, and we're in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, doing an interview for the Arkansas Korean War Project for the Butler Center for Arkansas Studies.
I'm Roy Old Bullock. I've lived in Pine Bluff since 1969. I'm retired at the paper mill. I served in the United States Army from 1950 to 1953, and I'm a Korean War veteran.
All right. Well, can you tell me a little bit about when and where you were born, who your parents were, that sort of thing?
Well, I was born on a place called Sunshine Plantation down on Balmeda. And my parents were Hobart and Fanny Bullock. I was born in 29. Let's see, I'm the fourth son and the sixth child. They had 9 kids. But I remember us living on these little old small farms. And we all had a cotton patch usually, and we could chop cotton, pick cotton. Then our mother died pretty young, and me and my brother, just older than me, had to more or less take over the housekeeping. Kind of messed up on some of our school, and we had a baby brother to raise, but we did it. And then at 15, I left home and went to work on another farm for $4 a day. Woo! $4 a day. And I worked there until August, and I went to work for a well drilling company in Stuttgart, Arkansas, Lane, Arkansas company. That was in 45. In 1950, I'd been there 5 years. I had turned 21 years old and was single. And I arrived to work one morning, the newspaper lay in there, and I picked it up and read there where North Korea had invaded South Korea. And I said, where in the world is that? You know. And President Truman was flying home to get into this situation. Well, the people come along and go to work, and I threw the paper down, went on and forgot it. Well, it didn't go away 2 or 3 months. Then people kept talking about Korea, you know. And I got word I was fixing to get drafted. Well, I told my boss I was going to take a couple of weeks off and go join the Army. Okay. Now, I done joined the Air Force. Well, I got to Little Rock. There was 5 of us, I think, sitting around this table. We took this little written test for the Air Force. You have to remember back in those days, the Army recruited for the Air Force. So this sergeant come in there and gathered up our papers, and he stood around there, and he run right back out with him. He wasn't gone a minute. He come back in. And he stood there and cleared his throat and said, none of you boys passed. We said, you mean none of us passed? No, none of y'all passed. Now, boys, I'll tell you what I can do this morning. I can get y'all in the Army. We said, well, we might as well join up. He opened the door, there's about 200 draftees out there getting physical exam.
Well, it was ready for you, wasn't it?
So we wound up in the Army, in the infantry at that. And if I had to go back in, I'd get the infantry again.
Yeah.
Best outfit there was.
So those other fellas that went with you, were they other local boys?
No, I didn't know any of them.
You didn't know them.
We got right out there and got examined and got sworn in, and I forget whether it was that night or just when we put us on a train headed to Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Well, they were quick, weren't they?
They were quick. So we got there and got our uniforms and processed a little bit and loaded back on the train, went to Camp Atterbury, Indiana. 28th Division National Guard from Pennsylvania were there, and they trained us. And I wondered about our training, but after I got in Korea, I thought the boys did a pretty good job on it.
So before you shipped off and everything, what did your family think about you joining up? Have any opinion?
Well, it's just something that had to be done. I don't remember any of them wailing and crying. Of course, my mother was dead.
Right.
And my daddy saw me off the little old bus station there in DeWitt, Arkansas. That's where we had moved in. Not in town now, it was out in the country. But anyway, he had married again, but him and my stepmother divorced long about this time. And I met his future wife, my future stepmother. He took us down and she had supper for us. She had 2 or 3 kids. And then she started writing me after I got to Korea. And then she wrote me a letter saying her and Daddy had got married. And I waved the letter to the platoon, you know. I said, "Hey, boys, Mom and Daddy got married."
That's pretty.
But that was just one of the things.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty. So did many of the people around here, did they say much about the Korean War?
No, I don't remember any conversations about it hard at all.
Yeah.
Not like World War II.
Right.
It was just kind of like me. They didn't know quite where it was, and didn't make a great big deal out of it, I guess.
Yeah. Did you have any other friends who joined up?
No, no, I don't believe I did.
Really? Okay. So, you said you joined up. When was it again? It was.
I joined up in September the 25th, 1950.
Okay.
And 6 months later, I had got my training and done got on the ship and went overseas and got off the boat in Busan, Korea. 6 months.
Did you go straight over there, or did you make a stop in Japan?
No, we didn't. Yeah, we stopped in Japan. We did for 2 or 3 days. For whatever reason. I don't know now. Maybe to be issued another suit of clothes, or I took a rifle with me when I left California. And but anyway, we stopped in Japan for a while. Then we got back on the same old ship and went around however you go to Korea. And I wound up on KP in the galley, and we hit some kind of storm. This old ship going up and down. Everybody got sick coming through the chow line, but we were doing pretty good until one of the old boys serving chow vomited in the pot.
That'd make me lose my appetite.
That was bad. But anyway, when they quit coming through, we took hoses and worked that place down. It was a mess.
I can imagine.
It was a mess. So then I wound up in Busan, got off, got on the train and headed north. Wound up the 1st Cavalry Division.
So you were a replacement?
I was a replacement.
Yeah.
Right. The war kicked off there at the end of September. No, and June 25th.
June, yeah.
Well, the time I got there, they was some of them had already been over there long enough that they started their first rotation out, 6 months time. So somehow the company left as I was getting there. See, so, I was a replacement.
And when was it that you actually arrived in Korea?
I was 26th day of March, 1950. 51.
51.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you, when you got off there, the ship there at Busan, you remember that much? I mean, did you have, I don't know, any expectations, or what did you think Korea would be like, and if you thought about it at all? And
you're not for sure. You suddenly realize you're off in a strange country over here, and them people are shooting at each other. But right there, of course, you're a long way from the actual shooting.
Sure.
And we got on a train and went north, and wound up being assigned to the Cavalry and then the 5th Cavalry. One of the most comical things I remember about getting orientated after we got to our outfit, the regimental commander was giving us a pep talk. He had us all on the side of the little ridge, you know, talking to us, telling us everything. And they were telling us what we had over there, what to expect. And over across this little low place we were sitting over on another hill, he was demonstrating a platoon moving around over in them brush, in the low branches and whatever. And you're pretty well hard to see. The old green fatigue we wore against the trees, green colored. But he says, "Now then, I want you to be careful." And he called this old boy's name over across the hill. And that old boy dropped his breeches and turned around to face, you know, give us the moon. Everybody died laughing. He said, "It's funny, ain't it?" He said, "It'd be funny to Joe Chink, too, if he sees you like that." Make one good point.
That was a good point.
That was a good point.
Something you don't want to forget, that's for sure. So, what was going on? Do you remember what was going on when you arrived? When you got there, you said you went north. Did they just send you up on the line?
When I joined my company, they were in reserve, they called it.
Okay.
And so didn't just walk right up to the front line and face it.
Right.
I don't know. We might have been around there a week before suddenly everybody started we were moving out.
Uh-huh.
Because I think the Chinese had come down and was trying to take Seoul again.
Yeah, they had launched it.
Long about this
spring
time.
offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we headed off up there to meet them.
Uh-huh.
And I remember we wound up on a high range of mountains just north of Seoul.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what they call them, but I know they were just seemed like straight up.
Huh.
Well, we got up in there and we stayed there. Must have been a couple of weeks. Things, I guess the Chinese offensive calmed down.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kicked off from there and started walking. And that's what it wound up to most of the time. You was walking.
Walking. Were you heading north or were you heading?
North.
Yeah.
You're going north.
Yeah.
We was headed back up towards the 38th parallel.
Okay.
And so that's what we did. We walked, and we were lucky. We didn't run into any big offenses. We had little firefights, and we'd run into this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But most general and all, for the most part, while I was over there, it wasn't like the Battle of the Bulge.
Right. Right.
I had some battles, all right. That don't mean you didn't get shot at.
Sure, definitely. So, do you remember much about the weather over there? What it was like?
I sure do. In the summertime, it was hot.
Uh-huh.
In August particularly, you could drink 2 canteens of water, and it was hot. And then it would rain. They'd have a little monsoon rain up north, and down through them little rivers it would come.
Oh, I bet.
We went across the Emden River one time on a pontoon bridge.
Uh-huh.
And it rained that night and come a little flash flood, washed our bridge out. We couldn't get back.
Uh-oh.
So we stayed over, I think, 3 days.
Wow, so they got it set back.
Well, they took some of that pontoon bridge and made a ferry out of it.
Oh, okay.
And hauled it that way. It was one comical thing I seen. We were in the trucks over on the west side where we had been,
Uh-huh.
and was going to cross back on this pontoon bridge. The tankers were over here.
Uh-huh.
Well, the old boy with the tank, he eased out on this bridge. He's supposed to stop in the middle of it. Then his buddy pulled on to and hold it level.
Uh-huh.
Then they'd both pull up. Well, he run right out on the end of that thing and blipped right over in Emden River he went. So everybody's a hoorahing and a hollering a big time until the regimental commander drives.
Uh-oh.
And that put an end to the party.
And I bet he wasn't too happy.
He wasn't too happy about that.
Probably had a few words to say, I'm sure. So do you ever remember much in the way of problems with supplies? I mean, were you guys supplied pretty well?
We were supplied pretty good. We ate a lot of sea rations.
Mm-hmm.
And couldn't complain about not getting enough to eat all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then occasionally we would be back off the front line there, and the cooks would bring them stoves up and cook us a steak.
Wow.
And just like you wanted.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of the benefits you got for being an infantryman.
Uh-huh.
But they cook us a good steak that way. The rest of the time, mostly you was eating sea rations. And we'd get that corned beef hash, and we'd give that to them Korean soldiers that was in our outfit. They'd eat it. We liked that other stuff better.
Uh-huh. So what kind of stuff would you have in there that you would like to eat?
I remember they had beans and ham.
Uh-huh.
It was in a can. Now, sea rations were in cans.
Right.
That's pretty good. And some of the meatballs, spaghetti was pretty good.
Uh-huh.
That's a couple of things I remember. And they always had a little fruit there with them, maybe a little small can of peaches or something.
Uh-huh.
And everybody naturally wanted that.
Sure, that's probably
That
the
was
best part. Not like they had ice cream, huh?
I don't remember that when I was ice cream.
So, what jobs did you perform while you were over there in Korea?
Well, I carried an A6 light machine gun. I was a machine gunner.
Mm-hmm.
It weighed 36 pounds. And
Probably pretty heavy going up and down them
I
hills.
put that on my shoulder, and here I go. I had a assistant gunner carried the tripod for it, and then 2 or 3 other men carried boxes of ammo. We were a machine gun crew.
Uh-huh.
And I did that a long time. And I remember, as you say, it was going up them hills. But I do remember, too, no matter what went on, just about every day, I tried to manage to get my boots off and take care of my feet. Now, I don't wear them boots at night. I didn't pull them off when I went to sleep. But I'd pull them boots off in the daytime, and my feet were in good shape. And overall, I think all of us over there was pretty healthy, rugged old boys. Now, you was in good shape to do what we did.
Yeah, and you especially got to take care of your feet.
And
that's
to take
what
care
gets
of
you
them feet.
around. You'd be in bad shape.
So we could walk all day and eat some sea rations and dig your hole at night, get in it and rest.
And get up and do it all again.
Do it all over again.
So what would you consider a typical day if there was such a thing as a typical day? Just walking all day?
Just walking, looking.
Yeah.
That'd be about it, typical. We got out on that patrol base one time. They set up a patrol base for a company to go out there. And there you just laid around and kept watching. Then we'd go out on little patrols from there. And sometimes you'd get out there and run into something and have to shoot a little. Otherwise, you're just out there. And then at night, sometimes them Chinamen come around and they'd hassle us a little bit. You know, they knew where we were.
Oh, yeah.
So they'd come around and shoot at us a little while and disturb our sleeping. That's about 90% of it, I guess, right there.
Yeah. So you weren't ever injured or captured or anything like that, were you?
I think one time my nose might have bled a little bit from concussion, but no, I wasn't captured. And
how'd you get a concussion?
Well, I had a foxhole at one of these patrol bases, and of course, I say they knew where we were. And that morning, there was a shell landed about 15 feet over to the left, and it banged me around in that hole a little bit. Well, that night, that wasn't late in the afternoon, them old boys decided they'd harass us again. And they started shooting some more at us, artillery. And a round landed halfway before that landed that morning to my hole.
Wow.
I said, now if that sucker shoots again, it's going to come right over here. So I know what it was. He was using the same setting, gun sight and everything. And his shell just traveled that far off, varied when they landed.
Right.
I said, I hope he don't shoot again.
Yeah. Hope not.
So that one kind of banged me around in my hole, and I think that's when my nose bled just a little.
So did you stay a machine gunner the whole time that you were over there?
I wound up then made sergeant and was assistant platoon sergeant. We was in the weapons company, 4th platoon. We had machine guns, mortars, and bazookas. And
what regiment was this?
This was the 5th Cavalry Regiment.
Okay.
A company.
Okay.
And but that's what we did. We set up our supporting machine guns and mortars behind where the actual assault troop was. Or if it was on a patrol base, your rifleman may be out here and we're back here to fire over him or give him support, whatever they needed.
Yeah. So, did you ever have any get any leave while you were over there?
Yes, I did. I got 5-day leave. Went to Tokyo on R&R.
What'd you do there?
Well, I
had a good time.
drank a little and had a good time. Sure did. And but that was the main part of it.
Uh-huh. So did you keep in touch much with anybody back home?
Yes, my stepmother wrote. My sister-in-law's mother wrote, and I think my sister wrote all the time. Just some of the family.
Right.
Yeah, that was the main people.
Did you ever write home much?
Oh, I tried to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it didn't cost you anything to mail a letter, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget now where we got our stationery and such, but
right.
you had something to write on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I tried to write, and I'm glad to get a letter from somebody.
Oh, yeah, everybody was always glad to see that.
Now, all this took place, as I say, this is summertime.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty normal. During the process of this, them Chinese and us got to talking about having a peace talks.
Right.
And so, you know, things quieted down. We didn't want to make any wave. They didn't either, I guess, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Until October. And they saying that they might make some progress, and everybody wanted the high ground for this demarcation.
Mm-hmm.
So in October, we decided we would take some of this high ground away from them. And that's when the whole 8th Army kicked off, and that's when we got into our little battle of the bulls. So that took place for a while, but in the meantime, with all of this, the old man had made me forward supply man.
Uh-huh.
Get these supplies up in a truck or a Jeep or whatever, as close as you could. And I had a carrying party of about 20 or Koreans or whatever, and one other Korean soldier carried a rifle, and I carried a rifle. And we'd get this water and ammo and all, sea rations, and carried up the hill to where the company was. Now, that's what we did then. That wasn't no easy job either.
I can't imagine.
Caddying around out there by yourself most of the time, you know.
Yeah.
So I had that job a while.
Yeah. So, you were talking about what was going on in October. Is there, as far as the 8th Army kind of starting to take some ground? You remember much about that?
Yes, I do. This old hill that we were trying to take, well, we called it Old Baldy. And my company assaulted it several times. As I say, I was in forward supply. I'd bring her stuff up. I remember one time I got up there, and my company, they had done shoved them back, and here was an old boy from my platoon laying here hurt. Well, I stopped and wrapped up some stuff on his back, maybe 2 or 3 pieces of shrapnel. I don't remember exactly what. But anyway, me and my carrying party then got him out of there and took him down to first aid, whatever. He wound up on a hospital ship, had a big time, and come back to the company and said, "You missed a spot." I said, "Well, I was probably so scared I could have missed a spot, all right." But anyway, I remember that.
So did you have much contact with any Koreans? You said were there Koreans in your unit? We had
Koreans in our unit.
Okay.
I guess you'd call them soldiers. Yes, we had a few of them in there. And then, as I say, I had this Korean carrying party. They were civilians. And, I don't know what we paid them or if we paid them. I'm sure we did.
So how did you communicate with them?
My soldier I had, the Korean.
Oh, okay. He spoke English?
He was English speaking, and some of the Koreans we had were college educated.
Oh, okay.
They weren't all just ignorant farmers. And this old boy could speak perfect English. And he was our go-between. He'd tell them I'd tell them what we had to load up.
Right.
And then people could put them 2 5-gallon water cans on their back and go up that hill. Now that's a pretty good load.
That's a pretty good load.
So that's what we wound up. Now you doing this at night sometimes. All this good stuff.
Sounds like a tough job to me. So did you ever have, other than this carrying party, did you ever have much contact with any Korean civilians, like
No.
villagers or anything like
No.
that?
Oh.
Just kind of, I guess you're in a different area from them.
Yeah, we had the Korean soldiers with us. We had these civilians that carried for us.
Mm-hmm.
We had Korean civilians. A lot of them were kids, young anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There was our KPs at the kitchen.
Okay.
And they helped the cooks carry a hot chow up to us when they bring it up. We had hot chow brought up there too sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good.
It wasn't every day.
Right.
But
so the Koreans would bring that up to you?
they'd usually help carry them. It was a insulated container. You put your food in. About like a 5-gallon water can or something. And they helped carry that up there to us.
Huh.
So you had hot chow every once in a while.
Well, that's pretty good.
It wasn't all sea rations 100% of the time.
Yeah, that's good. So what, you remember anything about what some of those hot rations might have been, that anything good? Other than
the steaks.
Yeah, the steak,
I remember them. I could remember them. Otherwise, it was just plain army chow, I guess.
Yeah.
I do remember, and I thought this was the foolishest thing that you could get in the military now. We had cereal. I seen that cereal box over there, made me think of it. You know, you used to get your cereal box just one serving in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Army had that too. And they brought our breakfast up there in them little boxes. Of course, they took the powdered milk, made some milk, you open up the box and pour it in there. But I thought, now this is something to be serving rations in the field out of this little old cereal box. But the Army had that too.
Huh. That's interesting.
So you see some things over
there. I bet you did see some things. Why don't we take us a little break here for a second, and we will start right back up in just a minute. All right, we're back with Roy Bullock here in Pine Bluff, and the last thing we kind of been talking about was you're ever around any Koreans much, and that kind of made me think, were you ever around any of the other Allied troops, any British or anything like that?
I remember, I don't know how we wound up with them now, but we had a British outfit close to us. And I remember in a meeting, or I don't remember now how it all come about, but I was sitting beside an old boy there with a British uniform on. And had a little rooster for a patch. And I asked him what that was. He said he was in the Bantam Division. And I don't remember why we were there or how, but I remember that one time. But we had some Greeks over there. I don't think I ever encountered any of them. But we had the British. I do remember that one.
Yeah. That's interesting. So once we had talked about a few minutes ago about they started talking about a ceasefire and peace talks and all that. What did you think about that at the time? Did you put much stock in it, or? No,
not really.
Yeah.
A little story goes with that. One of the first peace talks that they had it was in Panmunjom. And the little town beside it, I forget what it was. But anyway, we were the backup battalion to go get our peace talk if it got down bad down there, see? And we were kind of standby for that. I do remember that part. But nothing ever come of that.
Right.
But, you have to cover all the angles, and we were the backup.
You do. It's good to always have a backup. So, how long were you over in Korea? You got there, you said, in March of 51.
I was there from end of March to the 6th day of December.
Okay.
We loaded up on the ship and went to Japan. 11 months, something.
Right.
That was long enough. A lot of them was over there longer than that. But we were fortunate. They pulled our whole division out and sent us to Japan. And we traded places with the 45th Division, which was a National Guard outfit from Oklahoma. And another little story with that, I had a buddy in this 45th Division that we replaced. And he knew what my company was and such, and he had left me a shoe shining kit in the company area that I was going to, and I used that brush for a long time. And me and that old boy still, he's in Portland, not Portland, Oregon, but somewhere in Oregon. And we still send Christmas cards back and forth.
Oh, that's neat.
He and I worked for the well drilling company in Stuttgart, Arkansas for years.
Okay.
And he wound up going to Oregon and wound up in the 45th. I wound up in the 1st Cavalry. We traded places.
Oh, that's neat.
He went over and I come back.
So were there any other Arkansans in the unit that you were in?
Yes.
Was there?
And an old boy from West Memphis. No, West Town over here. Named Willie. His name was Williams, and we called him Willie. He was first field sergeant.
Okay.
And he was a character. Well, he and I got to be big buddies, and we seen each other after the war, after we got back. He went over as a corporal or something and come back sergeant first class.
Oh, that's pretty good.
His picture was in some of those I sent you showing his stripes. That was Willie Williams. But he's dead now. Had another good buddy, wound up with a good buddy. It was from Green Cove Springs, Florida. Big old boy. And never will forget, he joined up with us, and we're sitting out here in the middle of this bean field. Had some shower, I guess, and cleaning rifles and whatever. It's about sundown. There was a strip of woods over about 100 yards. And say everybody was cleaning rifles, goofing around. He's sitting there working on his. And one of them rifles fired. And like a covey of quails, we were gone. And he's sitting there looking around wondering where everybody's running. It wasn't long until you could fire a rifle and he'd join you running. Now he would go, he was, where's everybody going?
Yeah.
It don't take long.
No. Yeah. What was that you had told me before, I guess we started up about you were out somewhere and you heard some bees or something?
Yeah. We took this hill, and I was setting up machine gun position, me and my bunch, and a bee went past my ear. I thought, I flopped around, we got bees around here, boys. Well, another one went by my ear. I said, that ain't no damn bee. Somebody's shooting at me. The sniper off out there somewhere. We couldn't locate him. But he was working on us.
Really?
Because we had just run him off of this hill and took it. The assault platoon's head. And they were off out there somewhere, still could see us, naturally.
Right.
But he was getting him in a few pot shots at us, but he didn't get me.
Well, that's good. But did you guys ever find him, or he just maybe run off finally?
In fact, wasn't nobody looking for him.
Yeah.
You know, if he quit bothering us, we wouldn't bother him.
That's true. That's true. Very true. So, I think you said that you were promoted while you were over there, right? That you started off.
I was really promoted.
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
I got over there, I was still a private. And the officers, officers that had their supper, I guess, or something, and our lieutenant come back down to the platoon and was telling us the latest stuff. And he said, by the way, I guess everybody in here is at least a PFC. I said, I'm not, Lieutenant. He said, Bullock, ain't you a PFC? I said, no, sir, I sure ain't. Ain't nobody bothered to promote me yet. Okay, you're a PFC right now. I said, all right. So the next day, I'm going through the chow line, and platoon sergeant's dishing out some of the chow there as I come by. And he said, hey, Bullock, you made corporal this morning. I said, man, I just made PFC yesterday. He said, that's all right. You're a corporal now.
Wow.
Well, it went on there a couple of months, and I made sergeant.
Wow.
So, process of elimination. And I kept them stripes the rest of the time I was in the Army somehow.
You must have been doing something right.
That's how I wound up, I guess, as just a platoon sergeant. And then the old man put me in the carrying party. There's a story about that now. I've often thought about it. I was very lucky. We had taken about one side of this old hill, Old Baldy we call it now. And my old battalion supply sergeant, who I worked for, not sergeant, major, he was S4 officer. He hollered at me on my little phone there by my pup tent one night with my headquarters, and he said, "Now, we got part of that hill, and they need some supplies up there. So load up and go. I don't know exactly where you might find them." Okay. So we take off across this open spot now, going toward that mountain. And I've often thought about this. It was a moonlit night. I didn't know no passwords. Stumbling around out here by myself with about 20 or 25 Koreans and one other guy with a rifle. Well, we headed over in that direction, just like we was going off on a midnight walk, you know. And we get close to the base of this hill, and some old boy said, "You better be a damn GI." I said, "Don't shoot, bastard." Well, that's good as a password when you're talking that way. He said, "What in the world are you doing?" I said, "Well, they sent me up here I'm looking for A Company." "Man," he says, "they round there somewhere, and you don't want to go around there." He said, "Unload that stuff right here and get the hell out of here." I said, "I think I'll do just that." So that's what we did.
I don't blame you there.
So see, you get to thinking about it, and you say, "Well, now that wasn't no way to be."
No.
Thing to do. But anyway, that's what happened.
Yeah.
So then as time progressed on, the old man told me there one night, him and the supply sergeant had fell out.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the supply sergeant get back up on the hill with the troops. You know, and just showed him what he could do. Well, the next day, I think the supply sergeant rotated on. So anyway, the old man got me in his bunker there where he was and said, "I want you to go down there and take over the supply room." I said, "Captain, I don't know about being a supply room, Sergeant." He said, "Sergeant, I didn't ask you what you knew. I said, go down there and take over supply." I said, "Yes, sir." So I wound up doing that. Didn't know what I was doing. But anyway, I had that job a while.
Well, I guess you handled it okay.
Well, I tried to.
So, you know, there was a lot of talk, at least, you know, early on, I guess maybe in 50, once the war had started, was pretty hot and everything about, you know, what to do about the Chinese. And, you know, there was talk for a while of bombing Manchuria, and some of the people higher up, you know, in Washington, you know, even started talking about using the bomb on China. You have any thoughts about that?
No. That was the officials talking that way.
Yeah.
I don't think any GI on the ground was really in favor of that kind of war. Now, you know, General MacArthur, that's the way he said to do it.
Right.
But the GIs there wasn't necessarily in favor of that. Now we didn't know, but you could think about it. We was already fighting the Chinese.
Right.
Now you could imagine going over into China and fighting them over there.
Right.
So hell, we wasn't looking forward to that.
No. Speaking of MacArthur, you know, some people have one opinion about MacArthur, and some people are somewhere else. What did you think about General MacArthur?
I didn't really have an opinion.
Yeah.
I did when I was on R&R in Japan, as in Tokyo, and I got to see his office building there, his headquarters. Here's two MP soldiers standing there guarding his door. Now you talking about sharp? They had to look sharp, you know. But I never did get to see him while I was there.
Yeah.
But as far as regular old GI having an opinion about going on into Korea, on into China, I don't think any of my bunch was too concerned with that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you know, MacArthur got relieved and replaced by Ridgway, and a lot of people seem to think that he did a much better job, but you know, I guess that's open to interpretation.
Well, you know, as far as I say, the troops on the ground, it didn't seem to matter who the main commander was.
Right.
You were still going to have to sleep in that hole in the ground. You're gonna have to get out there
Unless
in the
they're
rain.
right next to you, I guess it didn't matter.
Yeah, that's right. He wasn't gonna hold an umbrella over you.
Right.
So that's kind of the way we looked at it. That was it.
So, when you said you left in December, first part of December in '51, did you the whole unit rotated back, right?
Our whole regiment
Regiment
came out.
Okay.
For some reason, they pulled out the 1st Cavalry Division.
Mm-hmm.
I think first we had 3 regiments, and I think two of the regiments came out first, and one of them was still there for another maybe 30 days or something before they got relieved.
Hmm.
But we pulled out and went to Hokkaido, as I say, and took over from the 45th Division,
Right.
and they took our places over there. So the whole unit did rotate out.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just a few people at a time,
Right.
the whole outfit come out. So I stayed in Japan then, to about sometime in February. And we got orders that we were coming home. And it was a foggy morning that morning. We lined up, walking past on this pier by the bow of the ship, and I said, I wonder what the name of this old tub is. It was the USS Marine Adder, the same old tub that took me over there about a year before, was taking me home.
That's funny.
So I left the pier in, where was it, Seattle? Not Seattle, where is that port?
Bremerton, maybe?
Seattle, I guess.
You know, it could have been.
And the same old ship and the same old pier I got on brought me right back to the same place about a year later.
Huh.
I'm glad to do that.
I bet you. So where'd you go from there once you got back to?
Oh, got a 30-day furlough and went back to California and wound up at Camp Cook, California. That was the 44th Division and stayed there that summer. Wound up in August. They were needing somebody to go to Camp Carson, Colorado, to take mountain and cold weather training.
Huh.
So they picked some of us out to go do that. And we got out there and just had a big time. That was one of the best times I had in the Army. It was hot down in there around town, the camp. But up in them mountains, it was cool.
Yeah.
They had a nice camp made up there. And we just done everything. We built rope bridges and rappelled down off of those mountains, you know. And just had a big time. I really enjoyed it.
So how much longer were you in the Army after that?
Oh, I had a little over a year to go. I got back to California, and I thought it was dull out there. So I signed up to go to Germany.
Okay.
Went to Germany, got there around Thanksgiving. They'd lost my pay, and I didn't get paid till the next year or something. But so then I spent nearly a year in Germany to come home. I was down in Bavaria.
Okay.
At Bad Tolz, Augsburg.
I was born in Würzburg.
Huh?
I was born in Würzburg. My dad was stationed over there.
Well, we were in Augsburg and Munich, and Bad Tolz was down where the rumor was now where who the big commander was over in North Africa.
Rommel.
Not Rommel. I think supposed to train some of his troops there. It was a pretty place. They had a call them concerns, and it was a nice camp. A little old town, but I enjoyed Germany.
Yeah.
Got to do a little traveling, not much, but saw some.
So what did you do once you finished up with Germany? Was your time up then while you were in Germany?
Discharge. We got on orders to come home, and got up to the dock pier where everybody was being processed and such, and I got up the head of this line. Well, in fact, I was standing in line, and this little corporal come by. You know, the cadre. They're bosses. He said, Sergeant, you can go to the head of the line. I said, oh, I'll just stay back here with the troops. He said, Sergeant, go to the head of the line. I said, yes, sir. So I got up there and gave him my name, and that old boy said, oh, I've been looking for you. Said, you'll find them over in that building, about 300 of them, unit packet so-and-so. You're going to take them to Camp Breckenridge, Kentucky. I said, oh, man, don't do this to me. So that I had all them jokers to keep up with coming home. And we was in this one compartment on the ship, coming home. Come to find out it was the flagship of the troop ships. They wanted it kept clean. And this old boy would come through every morning and inspect us, his compartment. He was the chief or something. And we come to discover that his big thing, he wanted them swabs dry. Now that's a mop to us. He wasn't no water to be left in them swabs. Oh, he had to have a fit. You'd think we was sabotaging his ship, So the word we got in New York, the word was, you're not getting off this ship till it passed inspection. I said, we want this thing to look good, boys. So I had a great big old boy there in that outfit. I said, today now, all you got to do is make sure them swabs ain't got no water. He said, I can take care of that. So sure enough, here come the chief in, and of course he filled up in these rolled up mattresses. Well, we knew all them old tricks. We hadn't hid anything in there. He walked straight over to that mop rack. He had his clipboard in one hand, and he squeezed this mop with one, wasn't nothing there. Put that clipboard under his arm, got both hands. No water in there. He turned around and said, best looking compartment on the ship, went on out that door. Just because we had dry swabs, I guess. But you have to catch on to what these people want,
That's right. So what'd you do once you got back to the States?
Hey, I got back to Fort, was it Breckenridge up there in Kentucky?
Yeah.
I think. We got in there at night. Well, we come through Camp Kilmer in New Jersey. Had to spend a day or two there. And got back into Kentucky. The last plane ride I rode was flying from up there back to Kentucky. And we got there at that place about 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, now, if you boys won't stand around and ask a bunch of stupid questions, they will tell us what we can do here. So the old boy did. He said, for you people that draftees, said you'll stay here 3 days and be out of the Army. For you regular Army boys, you'll start a 10-day furlough tomorrow. You come back here and wait on your discharge. Well, I had 20 days to go, or longer. So that's what I did. I headed out the next morning on furlough, and them other boys hung around there 2 or 3 days and got relieved. They were discharged, they were in the reserves. Come home and waited on my time to get back up there. I had a 10-day furlough, I think. Got back up there and waited around another 10 days or so or whatever.
So you came back to Arkansas?
Yeah. Came right back. I was here about 2 weeks. Went right back on my old job that I'd left. So that was the end of my Army career.
That's right. So how long did you stay in that job once you got back?
5 years.
5 years.
No, let's see. In 53, yeah. Well, anyway, I stayed there at 58.
Okay.
Got back in 53 and stayed there in 58. In the meantime, I had got married, and this job over here at the paper mill opened up. I got a job here starting here in 58 and stayed here 37 years. Still in the water business.
Well, that sounds
So that's about what I done.
Yeah, well, that sounds pretty good, and we sure appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Well, get the word out about these old Korean veterans. There's still some of us around.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
We had our little war, too.
That's right.
We had our little war.